This episode is brought to you by my signature group coaching program, Thrive from Stack to Unstoppable. Thrive from Stack to Unstoppable is a most comprehensive program for overcoming limiting beliefs so you can confidently take charge of your life and career. This newly updated program is the only step-by-step approach that holistically assesses your level of fulfillment and satisfaction in the key areas of your life. This is going to help you foster a bulletproof mindset so you can have clarity, let go of fear, and those memorized patterns that are keeping you stuck from being the person that you are created to be, so you can be your most authentic self and build the confidence you need to succeed in your life and career. So to sign up for the next cohort of this group coaching program, all you need to do is go to www.wamboimboro.com/thrive, and that is www.wamboimburu.com/thrive. I can't wait to see you in class.
The imposter syndrome kicked in immediately. I'm like, you sure it's me? You want to do this work? Did you look around?
Right.
And so she was like, yeah, I want you to make it. And matter of fact, she was acting like she was standing in front of royalty. Like she was like, are you even going to have time? Am I asking for too much? And don't you what are the prices going to be? And she was the one who was freaking out, And so, just to see her like that just affirmed the fact that, I need to be confident with what I bring to the table, that I've been doing this for so long.
Right.
And yes, it is human nature to feel a little bit intimidated when you presented with something so big like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did have a moment of self-doubt. And but she gave me the confidence I needed from her, because she really believed in me, and of course I believe in myself too. But so we did have that moment. But she kept, every time she kept coming back and saw this thing and tried it on, and we fitted it, and we're doing tweaks here and there. She got more and more excited, and I was able to complete it, and she was really happy.
Hi, I am Wamboy Imboro, a corporate girl who also has multiple passions. When I'm not at my 9 to 5, I spend time focusing on growing my small side business that I love. I created From Stack to Unstoppable podcast to give you simple, actionable strategies to help you get unstuck from limiting beliefs and find your purpose. If you're a professional, a 9 to 5er, or an aspiring entrepreneur, and are looking to get out of your comfort zone, use your God-given talents and passion, you, my friend, are in the right place. Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of From Stack to Unstoppable podcast. I am your host, Wamboy Imboro. Today on the show, I have Victoria Wambui Kageni. Victoria is a fashion designer who grew up in Kenya. Her parents sent her to the US over 30 years ago to pursue a degree in fashion design. Now, things took a turn where she had to pause her love for fashion and entered in the construction industry. She worked in the construction industry for 13 years, but deep down in her heart, she knew that fashion was what was calling to her. So she quit her job and pursued fashion with determination, clarity, and persistence. Little did she know that this clarity and persistence would have her work recognized at the Oscars last month. So I won't keep you waiting any longer. This is a very inspiring conversation. So let's bring Victoria in. Hi there, Victoria. Thank you so much for being on my show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Awesome. Very good.
Yes.
So for those who don't know you, please tell my listeners who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Victoria Wamboy Kageni, and I am an entrepreneur. I am a fashion designer, seamstress. I'm also a mother, and I do a lot of things, but that is just a few of the things. Like moms wear so many hats, don't we? Yeah, but those are some of the things that I do. I actually own a clothing shop. It's a women's clothing shop, and what I do there is I make clothes from scratch. So I call myself an artist that uses fabric as a medium. I have loved creating things using fabric for as long as I can remember. And I think the first, when I got bit by the bug, I must have been like 6 or 7.
Yeah.
I took my mom's wedding veil and I cut that thing up and made my first doll dress.
Okay.
And that was the beginning of what has brought me to where I am today. Of course, she was very upset.
Of course.
But yeah, fast forward to where we are today, it was just the foundation of what I needed, to find out what it is I truly love to do.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I'm looking
Yes.
at the background there behind you, and I'm looking at the fabric, and yes, you are good at your craft. And so that brings me to this point here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I know we're going to talk more about this. I know your work was recently featured at the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Can you please tell my listeners how that was and what led to that?
Yeah, so I live in a small town in South Central Pennsylvania, York. York is really, really small, but we're 45 minutes away from Baltimore. And so I've had this retail space. The one I'm in particular today is, I've been here for about a little over a year. But before that, I had another retail shop that I was in for about 24 months. And then COVID happened. So I moved from that and then hibernated for a little bit like everybody else. And then I came back out to Front Street, and this is what I do. So there's been a lot of people who followed my work through the years. The community has really been supportive of me, especially folks that don't look like us, because they come to your shop, they see the vitenges that you use, and they want to hear about all the other things that make you who you are.
Right.
And so this woman walks into my shop the one day, and so now this is about maybe a little over a month and a half now. She walks into my shop and she was like apprehensive at first, very excited to be in my presence. And she tells me she's been following me for years. And then she drops the bombshell, right, that she's headed to the Oscars. I'm like, what?
Wow. Okay.
So she wanted me to make something. She wanted to wear something from York, especially because also she's lived here for a long time. The lady's in her 70s, and her children were born here and raised here. But Aaron, who's the film producer, was involved in the documentary 20 Days in Mariupol.
Okay.
So she invited mom to go to the Oscars with her. So that's how I got into this whole thing that happened. So she walks into the shop. She tells me what it is she wanted, the colors she had in mind. She did not want to outshine her daughter. So she wanted something that was classic, striking, outstanding, but yet not that much that it would, cover her daughter. So we went to work and we chose the fabric. I gave her some swatches of things that she was interested in, and she picked what she wanted. And within, I want to say maybe 14 days, around 2 weeks, is all I had to make for, the time that I needed to make this thing for her. And I did. Okay. And yeah, she went to the Oscars, and wouldn't you know, they won this thing, right? So it was, I know, I was really excited, but I was like, did you get on stage or give me a picture or something?
Right.
And so she sent me this picture, the picture that has been rotating everywhere, of her and her daughter standing by the Oscar statue outside on the red carpet. Okay. And that was absolutely breathtaking. I'm still on a cloud, and just it's amazing how things just unfold. Right. Everything happens when it should. When it should. Yes. So that's how the whole thing unfolded. Yeah.
That's amazing. So I know you're still processing it, but when you were making this outfit that was going to be worn at the Oscars, what was going through your mind? Were you thinking, I don't know if I can do this, I'm not good enough for this, all those
yes. The imposter syndrome kicked in immediately. I'm like, you sure it's me? You want to do this work? Did you look around?
Right.
And so she was like, yeah, I want you to make it. And Matter of fact, she was acting like she was standing in front of royalty. Like
Oh,
she
wow.
was like, "Are you even going to have time? Am I asking for too much? And
Okay.
don't you like what are the prices going to be?" And
Okay.
she was the one who was freaking out, you know.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, just to see her like that just
Mhm.
affirmed the fact that I need to be confident with what I bring to the table,
Yes.
that I've been doing this for so long.
Right.
And yes, it is human nature to feel a little bit intimidated when you presented with something so big like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did have a moment of self doubt,
Of course.
and but she gave me the confidence I needed from her because she really believed in me, and of course I believe in myself too. But
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. So we did have that moment, but she kept every time she kept coming back and saw this thing and tried it on, and we fitted it, and we're doing tweaks here and there.
Right.
She got more and more excited, and I was able to complete it, and she was really happy.
That's amazing,
Yeah,
Victoria. And I
yeah,
love the way you said affirm. You just needed
mhm,
to affirm yourself that you're good at
yes,
this because most
mhm,
of my ideal audience, they are
mhm,
aspiring entrepreneurs or
mhm,
professionals who have a hard time affirming themselves with their
mhm,
craft. And they
yes,
don't put themselves to go out there. It's so hard for
mhm,
them to go out there, put themselves out into the world and
yeah,
show their craft. So I'm
mhm,
curious to know what are the strategies that you can give my listeners in terms of
mhm,
affirming yourself and knowing that you
mhm,
are good enough.
yeah. I think one of the things that I do for myself is, as much as there's so much work out there that you can look at and get intimidated, like, oh my gosh, my work is not as good as theirs.
Mhm.
The idea that you have to look at what other people are doing, learn from it, but then um, don't let it completely drown you. Like you spending hours upon hours looking at what everyone else is doing.
Okay.
That is one thing I have really decided I'm not going to do anymore. I used to be one of those people.
Okay. Me too.
So that's one thing that I do, making sure that you give yourself enough time to look at what is going on out there, but remove yourself from that surrounding and actually just focus on honing your craft.
Right.
Because the more you do it, the better you become.
Okay.
Also, just really going out there and being part of what everyone else is doing, meaning what is happening in your community.
Yes.
Invite yourself to things, even if somebody, don't wait for people to knock on your door and ask you to be part of something, especially in whatever it is that you do. I happen to live in a community that is filled with artists,
Mm.
not so much seamstresses like myself, fashion designers. They're there, but a lot of artists have, it's just, I want to say oversaturated, but there's no such thing. Oh,
Right.
there's quite a few of them.
Yes.
So every time there's a gallery opening or something going on, I'm always there.
Okay.
I go and inject myself into things, and that way people get to know you,
Right.
and then you're invited to all these other things. So I cannot tell you how many things I have been invited to now. In the past it did happen, and now it's happening even more.
Yeah.
Putting yourself out there, it could be the best thing that you can do for yourself. If you don't want to be seen on your social media platforms just yet, if you're not confident with that, just be part of what is happening in your community. That way they get to know you. So now I've become pretty like somewhat of a mini celebrity.
You're not
Which
a
is,
mini
I'm like,
celebrity. You've
okay.
become a celebrity yourself. That's a big deal, Victoria.
So it's because of the fact that I started with clothing, and then they wanted to find out all these other things that make me who I am. What did you eat? What kind of music did you listen to? How many, what
Whole
kind of language?
culture.
Yeah, like all these things. So uh that has just really opened up doors. Just the other day, they invited me to place something there, a mask I had made during the COVID. I made masks out of the Vitanges.
Okay.
And so they reached out to me and said, "Hey, look, we're opening up a new museum in the community,
Right.
a whole brand new museum." So they're like, "We need that mask." Just
Oh, wow.
just so like a little piece of Kenya is going to be in there, you know? So it all stems from being open to, being part of what everyone else is doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be all about you. Just go out there and give of yourself that way. And then it slowly grows from there.
It slowly grows. That's amazing that now you have these doors have opened up for you. And I want to go back because I was just so excited to jump into the Oscar moment because I want to know about how you began, how did you begin this journey of entrepreneurship and sewing and being a fashion designer?
So I've always, so I'm going to go way back to my maternal grandmother.
Yes.
Her name was Isabel Wanjiko, and she was a seamstress. I never met her, but I'm told she was a seamstress. Now, back in the day, they didn't have sewing machines, so it's all hand stuff.
Wow.
I remember a picture of her, and I'm sad that I can't get it anymore, but there was a picture of her at home, dressed in all the things that she had made for, and she looked amazing. So she had 5 kids, and in each of those households, one of their grandkids that came from there got this thing from her, this talent. And so I happened to be the one that got this thing. So I have cousins that do the same thing I do and do a fabulous job. So she lives through me. She lives through what I do.
Right.
And because of that, my parents really understood that this is what I wanted to do with myself. They were progressive enough to be able to tell people, hey, we're taking our child to the United States. No, we're not going to let her sit at home and wait to be married. Yes, sewing and fashion design is just as good as being a doctor and all of that stuff. And because of that, and also because my parents were also entrepreneurial, I grew up around my father who was just always doing something. There was always some type of business going on somewhere. So I think that also helped them to understand that this is what I want to do, and they're going to give me as many tools as possible to help me to get to this place that I am today.
Okay.
So they bought me a sewing machine, and I kept sewing. Made my first wedding dress for a friend. I think I might have been 16. And so it's just, looking back, I'm just seeing all these things that just happened. They kept happening in that same thread. Right. And so I landed in the United States, and my first stop was in Savannah College of Art and Design. Mm-hmm. And then after that was over, I moved up to Pennsylvania, which is where I am right now. But in the Lehigh Valley area is about 2 hours away from where I am now. Mm-hmm. My brother's there, cousins, and some extended family members. So that is where other things started happening. Like I felt like I had enough to begin to sew for other people in the community. And so I've kept doing that.
So you've been sewing for the community for how long?
Oh gosh. It's can you believe it's been 3 decades since I've been in this country? So that long.
Wow, that is long.
Listen, the day I landed in Savannah, my first stop was at this thrift store, and I got a sewing machine right away. That was the first thing I got. And I started sewing for people. I threw my name in one of those local papers, and I started getting calls. And that's how I did it. Yes. And I still have that sewing machine to this day.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about clarity. So it seems like you had clarity from day one on what you wanted to do.
Yes. Okay. I knew for a fact that this is what I wanted to do with myself. After Savannah College of Art and Design, when I moved to the Lehigh Valley area, the jobs that I was looking for were all in the factories, doing something for somebody. I worked for a company that did Banana Republic clothes.
Yeah.
So I've just always been around, like every turn I took, the sewing machine was calling me at some point,
Yeah. This has been your craft.
Yeah. So it's a matter of just staying true to who you are, because of course there was different times where things happened that discouraged me, like when all these factories started shutting down and all the work was moved over to Asia and India. Yeah. So it became a struggle of wanting to figure out how I was going to keep doing this. And then life happened. I had children. I became a single parent, and I ended up in the construction industry.
Oh, going to fashion to construction.
Yes, yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, that thing came full circle because my dad used to work for the municipal council. He was the superintendent for public works in the municipal council in Mombasa.
And that was fantastic.
I was always around my dad. Every time he had to go to the office, or anytime he had occasion to bring us along, I'll always be around him. So if we needed to go to the market to buy food, we would stop by the office and he'd do some stuff. And I was always around this equipment, construction equipment. And then life happened. And then I got, there was a point I wanted to be an architect. That's another thing. There was a time I wanted to be an architect because these factories kept shutting down. I'm like, I can't do this, So that didn't work out, but I called around and I was like, is there anything out here that, that any funding for women that want to go back to school and do something? And they're like, oh, you know what? There's this other thing. There's so many opportunities, but there's this one that is right that you may want to consider. And so I had called the National Association for Women in Construction. And so they led me to an apprenticeship program that was 4 years long. And what they did there was, and this apprenticeship program was through the state of Pennsylvania State. So they taught me how to use the cranes, all the equipment, all those things. Yeah. I was there.
How long did you do that for?
Well, the training was 4 years, but before it was even over, I got sucked into a demolition company. And how that happened, I'm telling you, God is good, because everywhere you go, things happen and you look back and you're like, how did that happen? It was God. Because when you pick up the phone call, they tell you, this is where you go. I go there, I get into the apprenticeship program. I get to I'm matched with a company that's looking for women, Black women for that matter, because, it's a male dominated industry. Okay. So I get into this company, I meet the owner, who happens to have a girlfriend who was born in Uganda and speaks Swahili. He was like, wow. You know what?
Oh, wow.
Jump on this phone call with my girlfriend. So we became friends and I was hired even before I was finished with the program. And so I stayed doing that work for 13 years. I was out there with the guys doing all these things, earning a nice paycheck. Okay. But it was grueling work. It was the work itself was complicated, but what made it even more complicated is having to work with these guys who did not want to see you there. Oh, wow. And because we didn't grow up here, most of us that come from home, this bigotry and all that stuff isn't something that you recognize immediately, Right. So I'm like, what? I don't, maybe they just didn't like me, so I'm just going to go to work. So 13 years.
How did you navigate that?
It was tough. It was tough, but it wasn't like you needed to sit in a room in an office with all these people. You right. just, you get your machine and you go to work. So the whole day you're stuck in this machine. So whatever it is that what they want you to do, move this, tear this down, blow this up, whatever. So the only time I really got to hang out with them was during even lunchtime. Wasn't because I could sit in the machine and have my lunch by myself. But the only time I really had any type of interaction with them is during the before the start of the job. Okay. Where we had to get all our, the regular meetings that we would have. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting. It was interesting, but it was fun. It was fun until it wasn't.
It was fun until it wasn't. Now, during this time, are you still doing your fashion? Are you still sewing? Are you still doing that on the side?
Yes, I still was, but not to the extent that I wanted to do it. Okay. Only because there was a lot of hours spent at the construction sites, and most of these jobs are so far away from home. So it was a lot of travel, just being away from my sewing machine. So the only times I had to do anything was over the weekend. Okay. And so I would do that, but not how I wanted to do it. So I would be at work, but I'd be dreaming about what I needed to be doing at home, But I just knew this wasn't something I was going to stay with forever. Okay. And at that time, my kids were still so small, but I knew I needed to be home when they were teenagers. Okay. And so I was able to do that. I was able to collect enough money and say, you know what, this is it. I'm out. And so 2016 is when I left. And then 2016 is also the year I opened my first retail shop.
Nice.
Yeah.
So So now you're saying that you knew your children needed you during
Mhm.
teenage years.
Yeah.
And I know a
Mhm.
lot of people sometimes think that children need them when they are younger. I
Mm,
thought that because I stayed home with my kids too, and I thought that when they were teenagers, that's really when they needed me. And of course,
yes.
all ages they need you. But I thought that when they were
Mhm.
teenagers, that's when they needed me. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you also think you thought that way. How did that go? How was that?
Yeah. It was, I'm glad I was able to do it because you know our country, and you know the pitfalls that can really swallow up our kids if you're not
Right,
vigilant enough, you know.
right.
So I'm glad I was able to do that, and I think it's really helped to get my children to figure out what it is they want to do with themselves and what was going to be allowed to happen, what was not acceptable.
Yeah.
And I just can't thank God enough for the opportunity to have been able to do that and to walk away from a job that was giving me a bunch of money, but it had served its purpose, and I just simply just needed to be away from it. Yeah.
Okay. And how was it? Was it hard leaving? Was it hard leaving?
The only thing that was hard about was the money. The money, yes.
Mhm.
Everything else, no. I guess the excitement of being able to prove to people that you can do this work and do it just as well, if not better,
Yes.
that died after a while. But at the beginning, it was really exciting to be able to do all these things.
Okay.
And to show up at a construction site and people think, oh, you here to what, coffee or something? Yeah, like, no, watch me.
Watch me. I'm here to work.
Watch me. Yeah, yeah. And
I'm here
but
to
it
work,
was
just like you.
also, yeah, it was a fight. It was always, I would always had to prove myself. Um, when I left the company that I started working with, they changed, management changed, the owner of the boss sold it or whatever happened. So I moved to a different company.
Okay.
And so when I went to the different company is when I really started to see the fireworks of people who really didn't care for me at all.
Mm.
So yeah, so it was always a fight. They would give me the smallest machine, because the smallest ones were reserved for the newbies that have just graduated from their apprenticeship.
Okay.
And it also meant less money. So so these things are just like, you know what, I'm tired, you
I'm
know.
out of here.
Yeah.
There must have been
So
something. So now
yeah.
you leave your employment and here you are,
Mhm.
you start a business. How was that? How was that journey to entrepreneurship?
It was interesting, but also very challenging. Challenging in the sense that this was my first retail shop ever. I had one in my head for years, but I'd never actually made it happen. So we did, and it was fun, but it was also a lot of learning curves. You know, you think you know all the things, but you really don't. Especially when it comes to the intricate details that goes into running a shop. You know, you could be good at your craft, but do you know how to handle everything? Time management, working with vendors, making sure
Finances.
you making sure your books are good, making sure your records are kept, you know, all of that stuff, and making sure that you're not overwhelming yourself by taking on all these clients and not giving yourself enough room to rest, you know. And also deliver work that you said was going to be delivered at the time that you said it was going to be delivered. Yeah. So those were some of the challenges that I faced.
So did you have some help in doing this, or did you do it all by yourself?
I was doing I did everything by myself. And so when an opportunity showed up again, it was an incubator, a year-long incubator that I applied for and I got into. And this was the Philadelphia Fashion Incubator. So we're about 2 hours from Philly, and I used to commute and go to this thing. And so that's when I actually closed the shop. I closed the shop and moved to a smaller, but that COVID had started to do things.
Okay.
And so it was perfect timing, I guess, that when I was done with the incubator, it was at the Macy's. They had gotten together. There was a program that was running between Macy's and the Philadelphia Fashion Incubator. So that year-long program really helped me to unpack everything that was happening at the shop. Okay. And see how best I should repackage it and, you know, change the business module, make sure that it works the way I want it to work. Okay. So the moment that ended, that was 2019. we rolled right into COVID.
Okay.
And so, yeah. And so the mask became the thing that, everybody wanted me to make. And I made a bunch of money there too.
Okay. Wow. And you were just
Yeah.
making this mask by yourself, or did you have other people helping you?
So it was the kids. The kids are my so the kids would help, and we would do what we needed to do. But that was an interesting period. We sold a bunch of masks because
How many
everybody.
would you make in a day?
Gosh, our goal was to make at least 100 a day. So
What?
between so I have 4 kids. So
Okay.
between them packaging and
Yes.
making sure we had a lot of hiccups because because everybody wanted the mask now,
Yeah.
And so there was moments where we didn't know who this mask belonged to who, where was it going? Did you get the right address? Why did you put the wrong address? So that dynamics of the complications that come with something that is that was frightening and yet needed at the same time, so.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's what we did. Yeah.
That's really beautiful. Now, Victoria, you have a wealth of experience in entrepreneurship and what you do as a fashion designer. For someone who's trying to get into the field that you're in, or even any other field, but they're holding themselves back again, what would you say to them? How would you help them to just do it?
It's really that simple. You just have to do it. But the things that will hold you back is the fear of the unknown, not trusting that what you have in your hands is something that's needed. Your community will tell you what it is that's needed. So if you do a little bit of research and find out what these emerging needs within your community are, then you can position yourself to start serving people that way. For me, it's really the fact that I'm the only one here. I know there's a bunch of Kenyans that live here, but they're not, you're fearful of what's going to happen. I'm not from here. Are they going to accept me? And all of that, those fears that we put in ourselves that, it has nothing to do with anyone. Right. So for me, it was as simple as just open up the shop and see what happens.
Right.
Just start somewhere. You have to start somewhere. It's like how we go into a kitchen and you've never cooked in your life, and you have to you just have to put the ingredients together and see what happens. And if it's not working, then you know what needs to be removed, what you need to add, but reposition yourself. But it really is a matter of just start with what you have, because 9 times out of 10, you're the only person who can do whatever it is that you do the way you do it.
So true. I agree. You're the only person who can do what you do the way you do it, because we're all unique. We all have unique fingerprints. We have unique, and what you do can be done by 1,000 other people. It can be done the way Victoria does it.
That's true. It's like I always say, we go to the grocery store and we see bread aisles that are just like the whole wall that's bread,
Yes.
And people walk in and take what they like, even though there's it's just like anything else. The restaurant rows in different places, all these restaurants, and you know exactly which one suits you, and you go to that. Right. So yeah, it's a matter of just start, whatever it is, just start.
Just do it, and there's enough room for everyone.
Yes. Yeah.
Very good. So now, what else are you doing now that you have been put on the map? What is the vision for your store? And by the way, what is the name of your store?
So the name of my store is Gusa by Victoria. And of course, Gusa is Swahili for touch, which is touch by Victoria. I wanted something that would be succinct, something very clear, not complicated, so people can just, say the word and not struggle so much. Yeah. And so now it's become so... I'm out there now. I've actually lost my name, so everybody calls me Gusa now. Gusa. Oh, you just got Gusa, so I'm like, okay, yeah. Go to the end of it, yeah. But yeah, so it's Gusa by Victoria, which is Touch by Victoria.
Yeah. So now, do you have many people from different parts of the world reaching out to you for inspiration, help, and how are you doing this?
Yes, so we've
masterclass coming up soon.
Yes, so what I've decided to do is, and this is something that also another thing that's laid in my head for a long time. I've had a lot of people reach out to me to help them to figure out how do you even have a store in the U.S. How do you do that? So I decided a masterclass would be the best way to begin. And also, especially because a creative person has so many things that they can do.
Right.
But you can't overwhelm yourself and try to do all these things all at once. So my job now becomes to guide my fellow creatives, and anyone for that matter, to pick that one thing. Just pick one thing and really hone in on, like, zero focus on it. And that's why the masterclass is something I decided I was going to put together and begin to show another thing that you just begin, just do it.
Yes.
And show people how to identify your artistry, align it with the your community, and then serve through your artistry and earn through your artistry.
That's beautiful. And when is the masterclass?
The masterclass is going to be April the 8th through the 12th. So in less than 2 weeks now.
Okay.
So we will be doing that and, try to help as many people as possible. And hopefully, it can get some people to begin to trust and have confidence in themselves to do what they can do.
Do what they can do. And is it a free masterclass? Yes,
it is. Yes. It's a free masterclass. And most of the information will be found on, if you're not on Facebook, or if you are on Facebook, I'm going to start populating all the social media platforms, not just Facebook, with all the information that you need to register so you could be part of it. And so just going and looking for me, really using the name of my company, Gusa by Victoria, you should be able to pick Gusa, yeah. You should be able to find me, yeah.
We're gonna put that the link in my show notes so that people can access that. Now, how do people reach out to you in terms of, like, do you have do you sell on Amazon? How do you have a website?
Yes. So I do have a website, and it's gusabyvictoria.com. And aside from that, there's also I'm on all social media platforms. I may not be so active in a place like LinkedIn, but that's something that I'm going to start revamping, given the Oscar moment.
Yes.
So we're trying to capitalize on that and just make sure that my visibility is even higher, if you can get any higher than that. Yeah. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, a little before I let you go, talk about burnout. Have you ever burned out from the work you do, or because a lot of entrepreneurs and
yes,
do burn
yes,
out. How did you take care of that? How did you navigate?
Burnout is something that can happen very quickly, and I found out the hard way when I was doing those masks during the COVID period. And I started experiencing some itching sensation on my waist, and I'm like, what? I thought a spider bit me or something.
Yeah.
Went to the doctors, and here I had shingles.
Oh, wow.
It was the first time I had experienced that, and it really brought home the fact that I needed to take a step back and really take care of myself. And burnout can also happen in so many other ways. Your relationships at home, like, my kids became these little get to work. You want this? We got to do this.
Yeah.
You want shoes? We got to do this.
I do this. Yes.
So I was like, we can't do that. The children are your children. They're not your employees.
They're not your workers.
They're not.
No. Yeah.
And it may be the reason why they run the opposite direction from the sewing machine. I have 2 boys and 2 girls. The girls want nothing to do with the sewing machine.
And no one wants to follow mom's craft.
Nobody wants to do it. And I think it had to do with the fact that, that they grew up and were born into this thing, right? Mama's always been sewing. But when COVID happened, they were like, man, this is not what we signed up for,
This is packaging.
That's too much. So, yeah. So taking care of your health, taking care of the relationships at home and the relationships of the people that you serve, and really just walking away, shut the shop down and just go away from it for some time. And, the good thing about having a shop outside your home is that you're not tempted to just sit there and sew all day,
Right.
So you have to, even if you don't have a shop to begin with, just designated spaces, you need to make sure they are closed off from the, from your home, from your immediate family members and yourself to
Right.
actually just walk away from it.
Mm.
And make sure you schedule things in to make sure that you're actually going to do the things that you said you're going to do with the kids. Go to the beach, for example. Go to the library, do something.
Right. And
So yeah,
schedule them. Because
yes,
if it's not scheduled, if it doesn't get
it doesn't
scheduled,
work.
it doesn't get done.
It does not. It does not exist.
Right. That's
Yeah.
amazing. But
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to tell my listeners, Victoria?
Oh my goodness. The biggest thing is to believe in yourself. I mean, we could have all these mentors. You could read all the books. You could look at YouTube all day.
Yes.
But you have to believe in yourself. The same thing that we tell our kids. We can tell you to do your homework all day long, but you really have to be the one to be there and do it, because I'm not going to go to college with you. So discipline is important, and just believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, it'll show through your work. It'll show in how you your people can smell it off of you, and so it's something that you have to develop a practice of building yourself up, So if that looks like listening to music, surrounding yourself with beautiful things, and that's why I have to have color around me all the time, and I change things every so often. Yeah. Every so often I change, and I tell the kids, we're moving energy today. We're moving energy. Move the couch this way.
Right.
So yeah, so those are some of the things that I do for myself. Music is a big thing, so I'm always saturated in music while I'm doing my work.
Yeah, music helps. Like you're saying, moving the energy,
Yes.
from and just into your body, just move.
Yes.
It really makes a big difference when you stop and move and just dance or sing or just moving that energy.
Take a walk. You were taking a walk yesterday when you were talking to us on the
yes I was take a walk, do something. I believe in that. Victoria,
Yes.
I am so happy to talk to you. I'm so honored that you could join me. Now, where can my listeners find you?
So I am on social media platforms all across the social media. So Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn is going to be picked up seriously. But those 4 places you can find me. And of course, did I mention Facebook? I did mention Facebook, right?
Yes, Facebook.
Okay. And then, of course, our website, which is www.gusabyvictoria.com.
Okay, we're gonna link all those in my show notes. Congratulations, Victoria, again. You're such inspiration.
Yeah.
Anyone can do this. You can come from anywhere. You're a girl from Kenya, and here you are, and you are now in Hollywood. Your work is being featured in Hollywood.
It's wild.
Congratulations, but you do good work. So
thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I thank you so much. It has been great. It's been wonderful to make friends also,
Yes.
And it just opens up so many doors, not just the monetary part of it. It allows you to be able to speak to and connect with so many people this way, and you encourage them as you go. But thank you for having me on the show. And if you're going to Texas, I guess I'll bump into you. We can chat some more when you get there.
I will. Are you going to going to Texas?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Yes, we will.
Yes.
We will meet.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Have a very
Thank you. You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So there you have it. I hope you found so much value in this conversation as much as I did. And as Victoria says, if you know you're called to do something, if you know that you're made for more, just do it. Take the next best step, and things are going to unfold in ways that you would never imagine. So leave me a comment and DM me in my social media on Instagram and tell me what your takeaway was. And until next time, take care. Hey, if you enjoyed today's episode, please take time to review and rate it. It's the fastest and easiest way to say thank you for creating this content. Until next time, keep thriving. I cannot wait to see you next week. Take care now.